This is heat 1 of 24 for event 31, the men's 200-meter freestyle. Swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. Lane 1 from Rocky Mountain, that is Morgan. Lane 2 from Tulum County, Larry. Lane 3 from Tamalpais, that is Richard Burns. Lane 4 from Puget Sound, Michael McCauley. Lane 5 from Husson family, Bob Husson. Lane 6 from Oregon Masters, Chris Hyatt. Lane 7, San Diego Swim Masters, Frank Williams. And in lane 8, our patriarch of this event from Gulf Coast Pirates, Ray Asherfeld, at 90 years young. Nice swim there by Richard Burns. Unofficial time of 2:48.99. He was followed by Michael McCauley with a 6-second time drop. Heat 2 of 24. Swimmers behind your blocks. Mr. Referee. Lane 2 from Hawaii Masters, Frederick Rolfing. Lane 3 from Costa Rica Tennis Club, Alexis Bustos. Lane 4 from Club Tribe, Vince Romano. Lane 5 from Puget Sound Masters, Barney Vogelin. And in lane 6 from Puget Sound Masters, Graham Anderson. Graham currently in the lead, coming home for that last stretch, but Barney is trying to reel him in there. Looks like Vince also is going all out on this last leg. And first to touch the wall, it's going to be Barney on official time, a 3:25.15. Great swim to both of those gentlemen. We've got a nice race here, though, between 2 and 4. This is Alexis. He's doing a fantastic job. Let's cheer him all the way into that finish. side as Alexis gets closer to that wall. Let's give up a nice yell for him. Heat 3, swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. We should have Lewis in 1, Marvin in 2, Alan in 3, Dan in 4, Chuck in 5, Jim in 6, Gerald in 7, and Terry in 8. I've got the best cheering section right behind me right now. Lane 1 from the Tsunami Masters, that's Louis Cece. Lane 2 from Little Rock Masters, Marvin Schwartz. Lane 4 from Oregon Masters, Dan Kirkland. Lane 5 from Michigan Masters, Chuck Olson. Lane 6 from UC48, Jim Perez. Lane 7, Wisconsin Masters, Gerald Palmer. And in Lane 8 from Arizona Masters, Terry Ludwig. We got a race right here. That is Dan Kirkland and Chuck Olson. And Chuck gets in there, unofficial time with a 2:33.54. Dan Kirkland right behind him. Great swims for both of them. Pretty decent time drop for both of them, actually. Heat 4 of 24 for event 31, the men's 200-meter freestyle. Swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. Lane 1 from Oregon Masters, Alan Larson. Lane 2 from Menlo, Bob Anderson. Lane 3, Sacramento, Jeff Shevlin. Lane 4, Oregon Masters, Jeffrey Piatti. Lane 5 for Puget Sound Masters, Jeffrey Morrison. Lane 6 from North Carolina, Carlos Glender. Lane 7, Puget Sound, James Stretch. And in Lane 8 for Virginia Masters, Ron Price. Jeffrey in 4 swam a great first half to that. He's looking like he's going to have a pretty decent time drop here today. And Jeffrey Piatti, unofficial time at 2:41.09. That is over a 9-second time drop. So fantastic swim. Heat 5, swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. Lane 2 from Southern Masters, Richard Hartman. Lane 3 from New England, Richard Boffman. Lane 4 from Longhorn Aquatics, Dick Worrell. Lane 5 from Puget Sound, Rick Colella. Lane 6 from Ventura County, Michael Blatt. Lane 7 from Longhorn Aquatics, Larry Wood. And in Lane 8 from Stanford Masters, James Kemp. We have 3 swimmers in this heat that are chasing the men's 70 to 74 national and world record. That would be Richard, Dick, and Rick in 3, 4, and 5. They are looking for a 2:23:30 or faster. And it's a proven fact that cheering makes swimmers go faster. So let's make sure these guys know that we appreciate what they're trying to do. So Rick is on pace. Richard's going to have to have a pretty fast back half. Dick Worrell is not out yet, though. Rick Colella in at that last turn. He's got 150 left to go. Again, he is chasing a 2:23.30 for the national record. 2:22.88 is the world record. All right, Rick, you are right there. Let's go. And Rick hits that wall. Unofficial time, 2:16.51, crushing the world record. Congratulations, Rick. I do want to say Richard did come in under the old national record as well. That is quite the accomplishment. Heat 6 of 24, swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. Lane 1 from Swim Fort Lauderdale, Mark Richards. Lane 2 from the Olympic Club, Mike Keck. Lane 3 from Rocky Mountain, John Hugo. Lane 4, Puget Sound, Lyle Nolly. Lane 6 from Lone Star, Francisco Canales. Lane 6 from Croc Masters, Kerry O'Brien. Lane 7, Freedom Aquatic, Brett Bailey. And in Lane 8 from Puget Sound Masters, Ronald Portalance. All right, heading into this home stretch, we've got a race right here between John Hugo and Lyle Nolly in 3 and 4. And it is Lyle from Puget Sound. Unofficial time, a 2:30:04. Heat 7, swimmers behind your blocks. Mr. Referee. Lane 1 from Philadelphia, Robert Canagieser. Lane 2 from Croc Masters, Michael Ham. Lane 3 from Rocky Mountain, Craig Peterson. Lane 4, Indy Aquatic, Bruce Young. Lane 5 from Longhorn Aquatics, Branch Archer. Lane 6 from Oregon Masters, David Hathaway. Lane 7 from Canadian Dolphins, Rod Craig. And in lane 8 from Los Gatos, James Deming. At the halfway point, it is Bruce Young, followed by Branch Archer and Craig Peterson. This is a pretty tight field all the way across the pool, though. That was the final turn, and they are all within a second of each other, first through fifth, but sixth, seventh, and eighth are not far behind. This is a race, folks. This is what makes swimming so exciting. All those yards, and it all comes down to the last little stretch. First to touch the wall, lane 4, Bruce Young, unofficial time at 2:19:89. Congratulations to the Indy Aquatics swimmer. Heat 8 of 24, swimmers behind your blocks. Mr. Referee. In lane 1 from Puget Sound Masters, Brent Barnes. Lane 2 from Puget Sound Masters, Philip Prudhomme. Lane 3 from Lone Star, Brad Harmon. Lane 4, Oregon Masters, Brian Halter. Lane 5 from Mission Viejo, Mike Bennett. Lane 6 from Puget Sound, Timothy Panzer. And in lane 7 from Palm Beach, John Keene. At the halfway point, it is Brad Harmon, followed by Brian Halter and Mike Bennett. Brad Harmon coming into that wall. Unofficial time, a 2:33.04. Fantastic swim for the Lone Star Masters swimmer. Heat 9 of 24. Swimmers behind your blocks. Mr. Referee. Lane 1 from UC 36, Thad Westhussing. Lane 2 from Michigan Masters, Thomas Melger. Lane 3, Swim Fort Lauderdale, Pedro Carrera Marrero. Lane 4 from Minnesota Masters, Robert Young. Lane 5, UC 36, Craig Spada. Lane 6, Puget Sound Masters, Gerald Cermak. Lane 7, Arizona Masters, Dean Hagen. And in lane 8 from UC 36, Mark Getzendanner. I've got some scores. Top 5 rankings for the women local club score. In 5th with 153 points, San Diego Swim Masters. In 4th with 173.5, Terrapin Masters. In 3rd from South with 187, South Davis Masters. In 2nd with 235.5, Rose Bowl Masters. And top local women's club right now with 332 points, Swim Fort Lauderdale. Congratulations, Craig Spada, UC 36, unofficial time at 2:24.98. Heat 10 of 24 for event 31, the men's 200-meter freestyle. Swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. Lane 1 from Lone Star, Michael Doyle. Lane 2 from North Carolina, John Moore. Lane 3, North Carolina, Thomas Hilgen. Lane 4, Rose Bowl Masters, Charlie Matthews. In lane 5 from Puget Sound, Pete Kolbeck. Lane 6, Ensworth Aquatics, Patrick Harris. Lane 7, Puget Sound Masters, Robert Frappia. And in lane 8, Minnesota Masters, Mitch Perry. Here are your top 5 regional women's clubs. In 5th with 170.5, New England Masters. In 4th with 212, North Carolina. In 3rd with 329.5, Rocky Mountain Regional Masters. In 2nd with 884.5, Oregon Masters. And your top women's regional club with 1,298.5 points, Puget Sound Masters. Here are current points for the top 5 men's local clubs. In 5th with 192, Rose Bowl Masters. In 4th with 201, Palm Beach Masters. In 3rd with 211, Tamalpais Aquatic Masters. In 2nd with 256, Lone Star Masters. And your current top men's local club with 349 points, Swim Fort Lauderdale. We got a race right here. It is going to be lane 4, unofficial time, a 2:20.89. Congratulations, Charlie from Rose Bowl Masters. Heat 11 of 24 for event 31, the men's 200-meter freestyle. Swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. Continuing results, here's your top 5 men's regional clubs. In 5th with 121 points, Wisconsin Masters. In 4th with 260 points, Rocky Mountain Regional Masters. 3rd with 312 points, North Carolina Masters. In 2nd with 1,088.5 points, it is Oregon Masters. And currently your top men's regional club with 1,309 points, Puget Sound Masters. Your top 5 combined club local clubs team scores. In 5th with 275 points, Blue Wave Aquatics. Tied for 3rd with 335, Lone Star Masters and Palm Beach Masters. Your 2nd place combined team score local club right now with 443.5 points is Rose Bowl Masters, and your top scoring local club right now with 719 points is Swim Fort Lauderdale. And your top 5 combined team score regional clubs. In 5th with 294 points, New England Masters. In 4th with 558 points, North Carolina Masters. In 3rd with 623.5 points, Rocky Mountain Regional Masters. In 2nd with 2,139 points, it's Oregon Masters, and your current top combined team score regional club with 2,839.5 points, Puget Sound Masters. And first into the wall, lane 5, unofficial time of 2:21.85. That is John Scott from Puget Sound. Heat 12 of 24. Swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. Lane 1 from Nashville Aquatics, Rusty Miller. Lane 2 from Rose Bowl, Ross Breitenbach. Lane 3 from Golden Road, Kurt Dixon. Lane 4 from Oregon Masters, Mike Self. Lane 5, Oregon Masters, Daniel Jorgensen. Lane 6, Basingstoke Bluefins, Spencer Turner. Lane 7, Swim Kentucky, Abraham Solano. And in lane 8, from Puget Sound, Kirk Nelson. That is lane 5, unofficial time, a 2:08.11. Congratulations, Daniel Jorgensen. Heat 13, swimmers behind your blocks, Madam Referee. Lane 3 from Indy Aquatics, Steve Barabitsky. Lane 4, Puget Sound, Jin Yamamoto. Lane 5, Puget Sound, Ryan Keefe. And in lane 6, from the Lone Stars, Mark Glass. That is lane 4, unofficial time at 2:36.83. Congratulations, Jin from Puget Sound. Heat 14 of 24. Swimmers behind your blocks. Madam Referee. Okay, Steve and Jeff, you guys just threw me for a loop. We've got another Barabitsky in this heat. In lane 1, it is Jeff Barabitsky from Indy Aquatics. Lane 2, from New England, David Galuzzi. Lane 3, from UCLA Bruin Masters, Brad Schenfeld. Lane 4, from Oregon Masters, Kurt Grote. Lane 5, from Davis Aquatics, Kent Anderson. Lane 6, from Fresno Dolphins, Will Lane. Lane 7 from Puget Sound, Diego De Acosta. And in lane 8 from Big Sky, Montana, Philip Lubke. Fantastic swim there for Kurt Grote. Unofficial time, a 2:05.86. Heat 15 of 24 for event 31, the men's 200-meter freestyle. Swimmers behind your blocks. Madam Referee. Lane 1 from Club Hot Tub, that's David Swafford. Lane 2, Rocky Mountain, James Heath. Lane 3 from Puget Sound, Kevin Alschuler. Lane 4 from Davis Aquatics, Matt Roper. Lane 5, Puget Sound, Braden Pence. Lane 6 from Connecticut Masters, Rob DeGuay. Lane 7, Puget Sound Masters, Lee Graber. And in lane 8 from Oregon Masters, Nathaniel Johnson. Matt Roper out to a fantastic start, shaping up for a good time drop for him. Matt Roper, unofficial time at 2:16:08. That is over 9-second drop for him. Congratulations. Heat 16 of 24 for event 31, the men's 200-meter freestyle. Swimmers behind your blocks, Madam Referee. Lane 1 from Oregon Masters, Aaron Hawkins. Lane 2 from Oregon Masters, Alec Flasuris. Lane 3 from Swim Fort Lauderdale, Martin Torres. Lane 4, Puget Sound, Shane Stender. Lane 5 from South Davis, Brian Ragsdale. Lane 6, Puget Sound, Adrian Haydu. Lane 7, Asociacion Natacion Masters, Manuel Campos. Lane 8 from Puget Sound, Ted Callow. Nice swim from Manuel, unofficial time at 2:20:57. Nice 2-second drop there. Heat 17 of 24. Swimmers behind your blocks, Madam Referee. From New England Masters in lane 1, that's Christopher Borgatti. Lane 2, YMCA, George Qualley. Lane 3, Alameda Aquatic, David Popko. Lane 4, Reston Masters, Thomas Dion. Lane 5, UC36, Peter Trams. Lane 6, Puget Sound Masters, John Bennett. Lane 7, from Oregon Masters, Eric Bean. And in lane 8, from Blue Wave, Zachary Jones. We've got a nice little race here at the halfway point. These guys are digging deep. This is a good race right here. Right now, John Bennett in the lead, but Peter Trams, Thomas Dean, and Zachary Jones are right there. John is first to touch the vault. Unofficial time, a 2:08.91. 6-second time drop there. Fantastic swim. Heat 18 of 24. Swimmers behind your blocks. Madam Referee. Lane 1 from South Davis, Joe McClellan. Lane 2, Puget Sound Masters, Scott Thompson. Lane 3 from New Mexico Masters, Benjamin Travelstead. Lane 4, Little Rock Masters, Calvin Schildknecht. Lane 5, Minnesota, Joseph Anderson. Lane 6, Sonoma Splash, Chris Boast. Lane 7, Sarasota Sharks, Kyle Deary. And in Lane 8, Oregon Masters, Charles Geist. At the halfway point, we got a nice little three-way race here between Benjamin, Calvin, and Joseph. These three still battling it out. If you know one of these swimmers, you should be cheering loud. And if you don't, pick one. Looks like that is going to be Benjamin first to touch that wall. Unofficial time, a 2:01.85. Congratulations on that 5-second drop from the swimmer from New Mexico. This is heat 19 of 24 for event 31, the men's 200-meter freestyle. Swimmers behind your blocks. Madam Referee. Lane 1 from Oregon Masters, Samuel Haro. Lane 2 from USU Swim, Carlos Espinoza. Lane 3, Rose Bowl, Joshua Garcia. Lane 5 from Amherst, Stephen Sobosley. Lane 6, Puget Sound, Thomas Llewellyn. And in Lane 7 from Oregon, Justin Mulcahy. Here at the halfway point, it is Stephen from Amherst, followed by Joshua from Rose Bowl Masters. Sorry, that was Thomas from Puget Sound is in the lead. Final 50 left to go. It is still Thomas and Joshua in the lead. Carlos in third with Samuel in lane one right behind him. And Thomas from Puget Sound is first touch the wall, unofficial time at 2:20.66. We got a race here for third and fourth. Nice swims. Heat 20 of 24 for event 31, the men's 200-meter freestyle. Swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. Lane one from the Flying Fish Heads, Raza Ali. Lane two from the Pirates, Alvaro Soto. Lane three from Blue Wave, Baden Sprinkle. Lane four from Mesa Aquatics, David Curtis. Lane five from Little Rock, Thomas Bullock. Lane six, UC38, Kenny Chang. Lane seven, UC13, Alex Rance. And in lane eight from UC32, Andrew Vogel. David Curtis from Mesa in the lead at the halfway point. Thomas Bullock, though, firing it up. Final turn. And this heat is going to go to the Maverick, David Curtis, lane four, unofficial time, a 2:05.33. Heat 21 of 24. Swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. Lane 1 from Flying Fish Heads, Wayne Kirchner. Lane 2, Reston Masters, Jason Alentado. Lane 3, Puget Sound, Carl Merring. Lane 4, Patriot Masters, Arthur Conover. Lane 5 from Rocky Mountain, Scott Bergstrom. Lane 6, Slow Seahawks, Alan Peterson. Lane 7, Big Sky, Montana, Stephen Cothenhill. And in lane 8, from Reston, Andrew Coons. At the halfway point, it's not showing, but I do believe it was the Slow Seahawk. But Scott Bergstrom, I do believe might have just passed him. And in lane 3, Carl Merring is trying to chase them down. We still got a race right here between Scott and Allen in 5 and 6. And Scott Bergstrom from Rocky Mountain with a fantastic second half, unofficial time, 2:00:05. Heat 22 of 24 for event 31, the men's 200-meter freestyle. Swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. We're going to do first call for Heat 1 of event 32, the women's 800-meter freestyle. First call, time to start finding your relay members. Lane 1 from UC 38, Jason Liu. Lane 2 from Illinois Masters, Michael White. Lane 3 from Ames Masters, Daniel McCarter. Lane 4, South Davis, Spencer Curley. Lane 5 from Golden Road, Keith Dixon. Lane 6 from Agua Masters, Matthias Altman Kurosaki. Lane 7, UC 17, Luke Clemon. And in lane 8 from Riverside Aquatics, Justin Gomez. At the halfway point, that is Spencer, followed by Jason Liu over in lane 1. And Matthias in 6. Coming in for the final stretch, Spencer still in the lead, Matthias right behind him, and Jason right behind him. And it is going to be Spencer Curley first to touch the wall. Unofficial time, a 2:09:79. Nice, almost 6-second time drop. This is heat 23 of 24. Swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. Second call for Heat 1 of Event 32, the women's 800-meter freestyle. Second call. If you don't know where your relay members are, now is the time to start panicking. Lane 1 for Blue Wave, that is Rowan Poppen-Egan. Lane 2 for Puget Sound Masters, Adrian Chausabel. Lane 3 for Ames Masters, Ian Morgan. Lane 4, Rocky Mountain, David Murphy. Lane 5, Nickel City, James Pokornowski. Lane 6 from North Carolina, Eddie Kochel. Lane 7, Puget Sound, Francisco Felix. And in Lane 8, Oregon Masters, Evan Edwards. At the halfway point, James Pokornowski from Nickel City is in the lead. Right behind him is David Murphy. David and James battling it out. Who's going to touch first? It's going to be David. Unofficial time of 2:04.14. Congratulations to the Rocky Mountain swimmer. This is Heat 24 and the last heat for Event 31, the men's 200-meter freestyle. Swimmers behind your blocks, Mr. Referee. Lane 1 from Oregon State, Benjamin Kono. Lane 2 from Puget Sound, Caleb Lingy. Lane 3, Wisconsin, Cody Hellenbrand. Lane 4 from the Longhorns, Danila Urzakov. Lane 5 from Club Hot Tub, Christopher Guidi. Lane 6, Oregon State Swim, Noah Peng. Lane 7, Connecticut Masters, Lewis Quinn II. And in Lane 8 from Puget Sound Masters, Vincent Dang. Yeah, at the halfway point, Danila and Christopher both coming in under a minute on the 100. Noah Pang in this race still though, as well as Caleb Lingy over in lane 2. Danila starting to make some space between him and the rest of the swimmers. And first to touch the wall, Danila Urzakov, unofficial time, a 1:56.76. Congratulations to the Longhorn swimmer. Some very happy swimmers in that heat. That is awesome to see. This is the fine